Welcome back. It's your girl Nay, and this is Nay Reacts, where we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we keep it 100. Today we're diving into something that's a little dark and honestly chilling, in my opinion. We're gonna be reacting to He Only Targets Cheerleaders, the Case of Retha Stratton. I was on YouTube and this came across my little page, and I was like, I'm interested. I want to watch it. So now we're watching it together, and we're gonna be reacting. This is one of those cases that makes you look over your shoulder and think twice about people's intentions. If you're new here, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You join the fam, and you don't want to miss any of the reaction fun. And make sure we learn, grow, and we protect our peace together. All right, grab your snacks, get comfy, and let's get straight into this video.
This footage hides the most disturbing secret. It's 1981, and a group of high school cheerleaders are rallying for their football team, unaware that there is someone watching them carefully, selecting his next target.
See? Now we're in Texas.
Anything bad could ever touch our world.
River Oaks may be the home of champions. It's also the home of a rumor that is getting bigger each time it's told.
We had no idea that there was this monster out there.
One victim after another can all be traced back to a single photo.
He's just picking his victims by who might be next to
He killed a whole cheerleading team.
Handgun sales is on the rise. Nervous residents are left with no choice but to lock their doors and stay inside.
Some say 7, some 8, some 9, and police are trying to hide it.
What you mean?
They're actively hiding information from the public, leaving everyone in the dark. But 3 cheerleaders have had enough and have decided to take matters into their own hands.
What
The more
happened?
they search, the more they realize that the murderer is closer than they have ever imagined. Now it's up to them to save their
Are they on the
friends,
cheerleading
face the
team?
killer, and take him down. This
Oh,
would
it's
end up
him.
being one of the most controversial cases in Texas history. And even 3 decades later, the fight against the cheerleader killer of River Oaks is still not over.
Bro, what? Bro, what?
It's Friday night in River Oaks, and the cheerleaders are getting ready for a big game at the neighboring high school of Boswell in Fort Worth. While Retha Stratton, Lisa Tickner, and the rest of the squad were on their way there, 16-year-old Susan Brown was waiting for her friend Roxy, another cheerleader, to come and pick her up.
I was a junior in the fall of 1980, and I was a cheerleader with Retha Stratton. I didn't have my driver's license at the time, so I needed a ride. My parents went out to some dinner with some friends. My friend Roxy was supposed to come and pick me up.
Roxy was running late. As Susan eagerly waited at the door with her uniform on, the wall-mounted telephone in her kitchen rang. She could hear that someone was at the other end of the line, and after saying hello multiple times, a male voice asked if her parents were there. As soon as she said no, the line immediately cut, but the phone rang again seconds later. Suspecting another call from the strange man, Susan was relieved to hear it was her sister at the other end. However, after talking with her for a few minutes, she heard the front door of her house creaking open. With a mere 7,000 inhabitants and barely any crime, nobody ever locked their doors in River Oaks. She told her to wait for a bit, pulled down the phone near the receiver, and walked toward the entryway.
Oh,
What
hell
she
no.
saw shocked the teenager to her core. A
I would've went out the
tall,
back door.
shirtless man in a red mask and unzipped jeans stood in the middle of the room. Susan immediately turned around and ran. When the man caught up with her, he ordered her to stop crying and forced himself onto her. Susan silently complied until the man heard faint noises coming from the telephone receiver. Susan's sister was still at the other end. Realizing they weren't alone, he shoved Susan aside and ran away. The teenager stood up as fast as she could to try to catch a glimpse of her attacker, but all she could see in the darkness outside was his vehicle's headlights, far in the distance.
The police showed up shortly after that. They didn't take me to the hospital. They didn't do the rape kit. They didn't do all the things that you should do.
Why
And
not?
to this day, it's very frustrating for me. You know, that was my Friday night. And I would change my life.
Something not right about them police. Because what you mean? You're not taking me to the hospital. I'm not doing a rape kit. I was just raped.
School as if nothing had happened,
Well, I wasn't,
totally
but you know.
oblivious to the fact that her entire squad felt like she had let them down by foregoing last Friday's game.
We really were kind of upset still at Susan.
But it wasn't her fault.
We're kind of railing on, well, she should have found a ride, and I don't understand why she couldn't get here. Finally, our cheerleading sponsor
kind of had to say, look, something bad has happened to her and you need to knock it off. Like, don't ask her about it either.
Following their sponsor's request, Lisa and the girls kept their distance. Yet, it was the ensuing silence that hurt Susan the most.
You know, rape was still
Because imagine that happens and then you're alone.
Instigate that. I didn't want anyone knowing. I know this sounds terrible. I felt very shameful.
She wanted to keep it quiet. So as far as how we handled it, we were more concerned on where we were going to have our prom that year.
Even the police quickly gave up on the case. With no suspects and no evidence, they handed the
You didn't get no evidence.
finding her attacker back to Susan. They explained that, since sexual violence was often perpetrated by someone the victim knew, she should keep an eye open and come back to them if she noticed anyone acting strangely around
This is
her.
why I don't like
When
the South.
I went back to cheering, I thought, well, maybe it's someone's watching me in the stands. I was doing my cheerleading, but in my brains, I was looking at everyone in the stands. And then the other rape started.
Though none of the other cheerleaders truly knew what had happened to Susan, rumors started to spread when a 35-year-old junior coach and a 19-year-old former cheerleader were both attacked in similar circumstances later that year. Both received strange phone calls minutes before the break-ins, and both were assaulted by a tall man wearing a red mask.
At least 3 young River Oaks women have been attacked and raped in recent months. This woman is a mother, a Pee Wee League cheerleader advisor, and the victim of sexual assault. In October, she was attacked in her home in River Oaks.
He's taken with me part of my life he can't replace. He can't give it back. He's got it and he'll keep it, because I can't regain what he took from me.
This woman has literally locked herself in. She is afraid to let her children walk to school. Yet she doesn't feel secure and fears she never will again.
With the last 2 attacks being only a
Something
month apart,
about these police don't sit right with me.
However, the police chose not to publicize the case. While life carried on as if nothing had happened, the senior cheerleaders, like Retha and Lisa, graduated from high school and moved on with their lives. On December 7th, 1981, after a long shift at work, Lisa arrived home late, tired, and completely unaware of the danger she was in.
It's just very much that teenage mentality that doesn't affect my world. That can't happen.
It has nothing to do with me.
Before going to bed, she checked on her mother, who was suffering from a neurodegenerative disease and was bedridden in the living room, unable to move or speak. Lisa wished her good night, headed to her room, and quickly fell asleep. However, her rest was cut short when a tall man wearing a red mask opened her closed door, proceeded to pull back her sheets, and grabbed the 18-year-old by the throat. At that moment, although she was in extreme danger, Lisa had only one thing on her mind.
Oh my God, where's my mother? I don't know if he's killed my mother, and in a whispery voice,
That would be such...
I won't hurt her if you do what I tell you to do.
The masked man then raped Lisa, just meters away from her ailing mother. When he was done, he pushed her aside and headed out. The teenager quickly rolled over to follow him, and, from the hallway, watched in shock as he carelessly removed his mask right in front of her mom.
The fact that whoever had done that to me walked right past my mother with no fear that she was going to be able to communicate
It's scary.
who it was, or follow him, or challenge him. I asked my mom, "Are you okay?" And she asked, "Who is that?" And at that moment, I knew I couldn't tell her what had happened. And so I just said, "It was just a friend. It's okay."
After making sure she was safe, Lisa broke down crying and called a friend for help.
I do recall talking to Lisa after she was raped. I was shocked and I was sad for her. I mean, that was my friend. And I didn't really think back on Susan. I just didn't put it together at that time.
But it wasn't long before the connection became impossible to ignore. The very next day, Roxy's sister too was raped in her own home, making her the 5th victim, all of them somehow related to their cheerleading squad. As the masked man's attacks kept escalating, Lisa and Susan refused to sit back and wait for the police to act. Instead, Lisa took matters into her own hands and went to question the sisters herself.
As it turns out, the shirt sounded similar, the build sounded similar, the jeans, it sounded clearly like this was the same person.
As the girls compared their attacks, something rather strange came up. Wesley Miller, Roxy's boyfriend, was in the room with them, and as they tried to come up with someone with a similar build to the masked man, they landed on him as a comparison.
And we had just said to the dad, well, he's built like Wesley and has arms like Wesley's. And he says, Wesley, come here. And he said, let me see your arm. And he pulls his arm over. He said, you mean it looks just like this? And we're like, yeah. And Wesley yanked his arm back and went upstairs without saying a word.
Ooh.
Even Roxy, Wesley's own girlfriend, started to have doubts at this point.
And she asked me, do you think Wesley could have done that? And both of us were like, no.
Before the girls could come together and investigate any further, another victim emerged. The masked man attacked a woman in broad daylight at a public laundromat and ran away when passersby noticed. As fear grew with every new assault, the entire community eventually
This man was just
hijacked
out
a crime
here
prevention hearing organized by the
running
local police
it.
to confront them about their inaction and failure to warn the public.
Many accuse the police department of covering up almost a half dozen rapes over the past few months.
You did.
Or lying to residents who inquired about them.
And did.
Instead of just happened all weekend and not happened, we still were not nobody who rapes and River Oaks unless my neighbors somebody tell me about it.
Yep.
We're not approaching this logically, folks. We're approaching emotionally.
How else would you approach a situation like this if you have to deal with women getting raped?
You shouldn't really come to a crime prevention program. You come to hear the sore details of rape. It's not about the
The police chief.
People like this are what irks my nerves. Because how are you going to tell me we're not acting logical about this? We're acting emotional. Yet, you guys haven't gathered any evidence. Knew that from the first girl. You guys haven't told the public about this to keep them aware. You basically kept the man hidden so that he can continue to do what he was doing. What do you mean they're acting emotional? I would be emotional. You're down to 7 girls now being raped? That's crazy.
Told the audience they can't always fill the public in on what's going on. However, that didn't seem to satisfy most of the residents.
It wouldn't have
They were
satisfied me.
endangered because the police refused to acknowledge that there was, and may still be, a rapist on the loose in River Oaks.
For a short while, the entire community safeguarded itself. Sales of firearms increased, and an unofficial curfew was put in place. But then, the attack stopped. For weeks,
Oh, yeah.
as the tension decreased, so did the people's cautions. Around that time, Retha moved in with her best friend since childhood, Amy Moody.
We were cautious. We had started locking our door at night. We're kind of on guard a little bit.
Retha would go out of my parents' house and do laundry there. That week, she had gone by the house, and as she was leaving, my dad told her, Retha, be careful because that guy that, attacked your friends is still out there. There's bad people out there. And she says, Daddy, he'll have to kill me first. He'll never rape me. He'll have to kill me first.
Thursday, January 21st, 1982. Amy got home from work in the evening and pulled into the driveway beside Retha's car, but something was wrong. The front door of their apartment was wide open. Unsure of what to make of it, she hesitated at the entrance, unable to see a thing in the dark apartment.
I reached inside the door and turned a light on, and there was blood everywhere. All over the carpet, all over the walls, everywhere that you could see.
Amy ran outside to ask her sister, who lived next door, for help. She grabbed a baseball bat, and they returned to the apartment together. While tiptoeing around the living room to avoid stepping in the blood, Amy noticed something, a discernible trail past the doorway.
The blood trail kind of led to Retha's room. So we walked that direction, and it's almost like he had tried to shove her in the closet, but the door didn't catch. Her wrists were slit. The knife was still stuck in her chest.
He says you're just going to have to kill me first.
I remember thinking, she can't be dead. I just have to get her help.
Amy immediately called the police and Retha's family. Before long, the entire premise was blocked off with police tape as neighbors and family members gathered on the sidewalk. But before heading out, Retha's father had another person to deliver the devastating news to.
I didn't break down. I didn't start crying. Immediately, I wanted answers. Who did this? Is this the same person that raped the girls?
The body of 18-year-old Retha Stratton was found Thursday. The former cheerleader had been stabbed 38
She's really pretty.
times. The woman grew
Damn!
up in River Oaks, lived just inside the Fort Worth
The fact that
city
he
line
stabbed her
near
38 times
hometown.
is wild.
She was pretty feisty. She didn't mind.
You know, I am sad that she is dead, but I am glad that she stood up in her promise. She said that he gonna have to kill me first.
Voicing her
She was a
opinion
fighter.
or telling you what she thought, how she felt. That's probably largely what led to what happened. I think she fought.
She had
Retha
to.
was a fighter.
Dennis Timmons, the detective who took over the case after Retha's murder, was an outsider from Fort Worth,
Okay.
unfamiliar with the masked man case that had burdened the town for the last year. He instead focused on the crime scene itself.
There was too much damage done to the body. Whoever killed Retha went overboard. And the expression on their face, it was a look as if, avenge me, I wasn't supposed to die this way. Help me.
At the time, DNA profiling was still years away, leaving the detective with little more than the scene, the body, and potential witnesses. Amy was barely able to speak after what she had experienced, so
Imagine
Timmons
walking
dismissed her
home and you
and
just-
began interviewing the other people present at the scene instead. It
That's
wasn't
a lot.
long before the blame fell on the usual suspect, Retha's boyfriend, Dale Kinson.
We've all watched all the crime shows. First person you look at is the boyfriend or the husband.
But with Dale Kinson being there, I definitely listed him as a possible suspect.
Mm-mm.
He lived at home with his mom and dad. The only time that he was away from his mother and daddy was the time that he went to the cleaners, which was the time that the offense occurred, so that ruled him out.
After being let go, Dale was joined by Rona, Retha's sister. Together, they too started to question people in the neighborhood. Multiple witnesses saw a red truck parked in front of Retha and Amy's apartment around 5 p.m. Dale knew only one person who both fit the description of the attacker given by the
Don't tell me it's
cheerleaders
Wesley.
and drove a red truck. The football team defensive back, Wesley Miller. Strangely enough, it wasn't the first time Retha's big sister heard that name.
A couple of weeks before Retha's killed, she was telling me about the rapes. And I asked Retha.
I really hope it's not Wesley.
And she says, well, the only thing I've heard was that he looked like Wesley Miller. And I'm like, who's Wesley Miller?
She said,
First
who is
time I
this
ever
guy?
heard his name. I didn't know the veracity of that, so I had to check that out. I knew I didn't have much time because we have a murder on the loose.
Wesley went to school with Retha and I. He was handsome. He was friendly. I never would have looked at him and said, you did that to me.
Timmons' investigation took a sharp turn after he zeroed in on Wesley. The day after the murder, he received a call from Roxy, the young man's girlfriend. It was her birthday the night before, and when Wesley arrived at her place, his jeans were soaked in blood, claiming it was from a football practice accident. Though Roxy was reluctant to believe Wesley could be involved, she was determined to see justice for her sister, who had been raped by the masked man months earlier. Without hesitation, she handed the bloodied jeans over to Timmons.
So now,
Hey, y'all, this is getting wild.
Retha got home from work. We know when Amy found her. We know when Wesley showed up at Roxy's house 3 minutes down the road with bloody blue jeans. It all fit together like a puzzle.
But the pickup
Today,
truck.
19-year-old Wesley Miller was charged with the Stratton murder. Miller was chosen best all-around senior at his high school last year. The same school
With the
where
pickup
Retha
truck.
Stratton cheered.
Then I realized Wesley met the description of my rapist. He knew I was going to be home that night because Roxy was supposed to pick me up. At that point, it all fit for me. Everything started to piece together. That this was cheerleader. You know, you start.
Well,
looking
you
at
were
the
all
time
on the
and you go,
football
oh,
team,
wait,
too.
Susan's here, and Lisa's there, and then there was Roxy. Of course, Roxy's sister was raped.
Here's his lineup, and it was all the cheerleaders on the left side.
Wesley denied having anything to do with the rapes, but the evidence spoke for itself. Not only did the blood found at the scene and on his jeans match, his fingerprints were the same as the ones collected where one of the rapes occurred. The masked man the town had started calling the cheerleader slayer had finally been identified.
And it all could have been
I
avoided.
could have expected that the upcoming battle to stop him would last well over 2 decades. As soon as he was in custody, Wesley confessed and pleaded guilty to Retha's murder.
Wow.
With 5 rape charges, some involving minors, and a brutal murder to top it all. Everyone expected the trial to quickly lead to a life sentence without much debate or resistance. But things weren't that simple. Wesley got his hands on an excellent defense lawyer who came up with a plan.
Those be the
Convinced
ones.
the jury that his young client had his whole life ahead of him and that the murder was simply a youthful mistake, but ultimately worked in Wesley.
Bro, what? A youthful mistake? You killing somebody and taking their future away is a youthful mistake, and you still deserve your future? And you overkilled her 38 times or 37 times, how many times he stabbed her? That's overkill. And that was a youthful mistake?
His favor, though, was his lawyer's ability to separate the rape charges from the murder itself, effectively weakening the case and guaranteeing him a reduced sentence.
I couldn't even understand why, when someone gave a confession that they did it, why were we doing all of this? I remember always asking the DA, when is he going to be charged with the rape cases? And during that process, the jury was not allowed to know that he was a suspect in other rapes.
Before the trial began, the life sentence was cut to 25 years, a number unthinkable for the victims and the prosecutor. And as it went on, the procedure devolved into a complete farce. Stripped of the ability to mention anything beyond Aretha's murder, the prosecutor found himself backed into a corner, outplayed at every turn by Wesley's defense attorney. And Wesley benefited from a deeply ingrained Texan bias, leniency toward athletes.
Football is big in Texas. There's no
I hate this.
And sometimes
I hate, like, especially with today. I don't mean to bring it up, but I am a Browns fan, and I do not like Deshaun Watson. I just don't. That leniency towards athletes, I am not a fan of it. Being an athlete myself, being someone who has had to deal with, in college, my friends having these situations happen to them by some athletes, I just, it rubs me the wrong way. And the fact that it still goes on today is wild.
football players seem to get the benefit of the doubt from the jury. We want to cut them a break. We want to give them a chance. It seems to matter that what potential. There are things that he could have done with his life. But
he chose to do it.
Time to talk about the potential of Retha.
Thank you.
On October 21st,
why is nobody talking about her future?
Unaware of all the rapes he had committed, still found Wesley Miller guilty.
Okay.
Only sentenced him to 25 years.
Prosecutors say a look of anguish covered the jurors' faces when they learned of Miller's past. He has been charged with parole in 8 years.
For all of us that have been victims,
that's like a year a victim.
it was almost a slap in the face. You want justice to prevail, and 25 years was not. It was not.
Especially for Retha, you took her life, her future. Like, she's never going to have a baby, never going to walk down the aisle, never find love, never get to explore the world because she decided to fight you.
Justice for any of us.
So then I thought, what happened to me, that'll add more to it. You know, that's where we'll get him, because they're going to get him on all these other rapes.
Lisa and the others fought to ensure Wesley was punished, yet only one rape charge resulted in a conviction. Even worse, his rape sentence would be served concurrently with the murder sentence, meaning it wouldn't add any time to his already existing prison.
Wait, here's the part that really gets me. I don't like this police department. Because what you mean, only one rape? If you would have got evidence from all the other rapes, the nigga would be in jail for life. Sorry for calling him a nigga, but like, still.
In a shocking turn of events, Wesley Wayne Miller, convicted of the brutal murder of Retha Stratton, is already up for parole.
He looked crazy.
Just 2 years after his trial.
I don't want to look the person in the face that's Wesley's next victim and say I didn't do everything that I possibly could
to stop him.
Despite their constant efforts to prevent his release, Wesley was granted parole after serving less than a third of his sentence.
Bro, what the fuck?
Managed to ban him from several counties. He quickly reoffended after his release in Wichita Falls.
Breaking news tonight, a Wichita Falls woman is recovering after a terrifying encounter with a convicted murderer. Authorities say Laura Bernard was attacked outside her home but managed to escape and lock herself inside. Her husband pursued the suspect as he tried to flee.
I told Laura to go get the keys to the car, and so I run and jump in the car.
Oh, I love that energy. Love that energy.
I can't look at him. I don't want to look at him. I'm so scared. And he said, "You just get the license plate."
From then on, Wesley cycled in and out of prison, either by reoffending or refusing sex offender rehabilitation. And
hold the fuck on. What do you mean this nigga cycled in and out of prison? You raped 6 women, or 7. You killed 1. You get out after maybe 4 or 5 years, and you rape again. You go back. You get out. You rape again. You go back. You get out. You rape again. You go back. You get out. Bro, what the fuck? Texas? You need to get your shit together.
His 25-year sentence neared its end in 2006. The survivors' fight became a race against the clock. Lisa, Susan, and Rona wanted the state to recognize Wesley as a sexually violent predator. If they succeeded, he would be put under mandatory supervision for the rest of his life, effectively preventing him from harming another woman ever again.
And he needed to be.
October 23rd, 2006, it was finally time for the former cheerleaders to meet their attacker in court. This is his deposition, where he denied any knowledge of the rapes before haphazardly attempting to gain sympathy by acknowledging the leniency he received and apologizing to Retha's family.
Fuck you.
October 1982, you were convicted of that murder, correct?
Yes.
Sentenced to 25 years.
Yes.
You feel that was a fair punishment for the murder of Retha Stratton?
Actually, no.
Objection? Why not?
It wasn't fair because I was guilty, and it's a very bad crime.
You think it should have been more?
Yes, I do. 25 is lenient.
You didn't even serve out 25.
To Retha's family?
Yes.
What's that?
And I apologized and asked for the forgiveness.
Rona had sat across from Wesley countless times in court over the years, and he never showed remorse or apologized to her family until prompted during his final testimony in the hearing.
Fuck you.
He's had 25 years to do that. He's never felt compelled to say that before.
Are you mentally and emotionally prepared for the possibility that, you might not win this?
We might not win it, but you know what? It was all said in court. It was all wrapped up, and it's up to that jury to decide that.
After Retha was taken from them, Lisa, Susan, and Rona vowed to do everything in their power to ensure her killer stayed behind bars.
Imagine you having to dedicate your life because the police won't do their job. It just seems like when she died, instead of just taking her life and his life, he took the whole town's, which is crazy to me. And especially those 3 women that he actually raped.
They didn't only want the world to know the true face of Wesley, but also pay tribute to Retha's passing.
I hope Retha knows that the grave wasn't the end of her story, and we will keep her story alive. And we will make sure Wesley Miller
I'm over here tearing up.
Other people. Between their many legal battles, Lisa became the proud mom of 3 children. Rona sat on the governing board of the Texas Civil Commitment Office, and Susan became a forensic genealogist, solving multiple.
Hello? I just got a random phone number from this call. Give me 1 second. Yes, I did not call this number, and I don't know who you are, so. Oh, well, sorry.
Cold cases. During the final phase of the hearing, the 3 friends sat next to each other as the jury read out Wesley's judgment. Through sheer determination, the 3 friends forced the system into action, ensuring Wesley remained under civil commitment for life, a hard-fought victory that proved justice can prevail, even against impossible
After 30
odds.
years.
Anything like you imagined?
It's the relief. It's such validation.
Wow.
I mean, it says he really was there to sexually assault her.
The fact that he killed her.
She didn't ask for that. And I was raped. And I did know it was him.
The fact that you took your mask off and walked past her mom is crazy.
And now he has to answer for that. this is as good as it gets.
Wow. Damn. Well, Retha, they got justice for you, girl.
Thanks again to private internet.
Wow. That was crazy. Whew, y'all, that was heavy. Well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you find it eye-opening or want to see more crime reactions like this, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and you turn on those notifications so that you never miss when I post a video. Comment below what your thoughts on the case were. It was scary for me how he targeted those women, but I'm glad that they got justice. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and always stay kind. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.